Steve Austin is now a prisoner of Hull after he refused Hull's offer to take over the world. Steve's life now hangs in the balance as Hull carries out his diabolical plan to wipe out all organic life on the Earth so that only bionic beings will be able to survive. Will Steve be able to escape in time to stop Hull? Let's dive into the next issue and find out. Welcome to issue number 9, where Steve and Hull continue their battle. This issue is entitled Ground Zero. Now let's dive in and see what happens. Hull, along with his army, is heading towards Washington, D.C. He turns to Naga and says, "Show me the video feed. Let's see how OSI's 10 soldier is faring." When the feed is turned on, he sees Steve still trapped in the cage that he put him in, while torturing him with electrical current. Hull looks upon Steve and still sees him writhing in pain because of the torture he has inflicted on him. Still ticking, I see, Hull says. Your stamina is commendable, Colonel, but it's all for naught. In minutes, this mountain will be a smoking crater, and you will be dead, and your country will belong to me. Though I must admit, it gives me some pleasure to see you flopping around like a fish out of water. I guess you're still good for something after all, Colonel. You will amuse me until we are out of broadcast range. While still in pain, Steve reaches for his hand and rips off his own finger. Ha! Well, I'll be damned. Did you just rip off your own finger? How resourceful. Steve hurls his finger at the control panel as to disrupt the current that is running through the cage. Resourceful, Steve. But you're still trapped in a cage which was built to withstand even my strength. Steve looks over at the control panel and then looks at Hull. Maybe you haven't been paying attention, but I am not you! Steve burst free of the cage. Congratulations, Colonel Austin. But still, no amount of bionics will allow you to survive an atomic detonation at ground zero. Well, Steve says, a full-blown nuke. And me without a lead-lined refrigerator. With less than 3 minutes to get out, Steve knew he had to turn on the bionic speed to get away from the blast. He gets up to 45 miles an hour. 60. 75. Then 90. And at the last second, Steve evades the nuclear blast. He looks back and sees the mushroom cloud going high into the air. He knew he had to get to Washington, D.C., and he had to get there quick. He sees a damaged fighter jet off in the distance. As Steve gets closer to the fighter jet, he sees the body of a pilot laying next to it. Oh no. Steve walks over to the body. I'll make sure they come back for your body, kid. That is, if anyone is left to come back for it. Steve gets into the jet and takes off into the air. Echo 1 to Echo Base, do you copy? Echo 1 to Echo Base, do you copy? Nothing. Steve can get no response. Just hold together for a few hours, baby. Just a few more hours. We've got to get there. Back at OSI headquarters, an agent is picking up a reading on his radar. Director Carlisle, Mr. Goldman, SATCOM's tracking an unidentified transport coming into our airspace pretty friggin' fast. It's not on any logs or manifests. Could be Steve, Oscar says. Or it could be his predecessor, says Margaret. Notify all intelligence branches in the military. We're at a code 11. Hull is flying in with his army into Washington, D.C. Once the parcel is dropped, we'll land on the other side of the mall and let our troops mop up the survivors. Bombs away, as they say. At that moment, Hull drops his weapon from the airplane. It starts to emit a high-frequency sound that destroys the eardrums of every human within earshot. And at that next very moment, Hull, along with his henchmen, land ready to attack the remaining humans standing in their way. The cybernetic army start firing upon innocent civilians. The military arrives to try to counter the attack. Hull looks to Naga. Naga, if you would. They shoot point blank at Naga, but the bullets just bounce off, and Naga takes the military vehicle and flips it as if it were nothing. Hull looks at Naga. Send a platoon to secure the device. Have them calibrate the pulse to an expanding wave that will take down any incoming pilots. I have some old friends to pay respects to. You and I have a house call to make. Hull and Naga walk towards OSI headquarters. A room full of concerned OSI agents and Army Command are meeting and trying to decide what to do next. These monsters have already torn through 3 battalions, the general says. And the president? He's safely aboard Air Force One. Oscar looks over at Margaret. This is your tin soldier, isn't it, Margaret? Let's play the blame game later, Oscar. Our nation is under attack. Now, what about this pulse device? It activated 10 minutes ago directly above the reflecting pool. An estimated 30,000 already dead. Jesus wept, the general says. What are we up against here? Well, Hull has apparently calibrated the device to disrupt organic systems, leaving artificial systems intact. People die, but machines continue to function. We may feel limited effects here. We may have trouble concentrating, dizziness, nosebleeds. But should it come closer to the capital, the general interrupts. We've already got an armored cavalry unit on the way to intercept. Their vehicles are hardened against EMP attack. It's been never tested against anything like this, General, Oscar says. Who knows what Hull's done with this technology? Relax, Mr. Goldman. Just sit back and watch the army clean up your mess. The armored division arrives to the site of the device. We have a visual on the device, Colonel. We beat the robots to the target. Do we want to recover or destroy? We're not taking any chances here, soldier. Light it up. At that moment, Hull's army comes up from around the device. What the? They're all over us! They're all... You were saying, General? Margaret says. Even without this pulse device, this bionic army would overwhelm the capital in minutes, Oscar says. Can't we just drop a nuke on the bastards? Scorched earth? This is the capital you're talking about, General. The capital. Then what the hell are we supposed to do? What do we have left? We evacuate. Steve arrives to Washington, D.C. He looks down and he sees all the death that Hull's bionic army is causing. All the death. All the carnage. You sick son of a... You did it. You really did it. Steve looks down at the machine that causes death to organics. Hull and Naga make their way to the war room, killing anyone that gets in their way. Oscar Goldman looks up at the monitor. There's no time to evacuate now, General. They're here. Naga burst violently through the wall. "You traitorous bastard," the general says to Hull. Naga quickly grabs hold of the general and kills him. Margaret. How long has it been? Hull. Isn't that just like you, Margaret? In control till the last. I regret to inform you, however, that this situation has been out of your control for some time. As I'm sure you've seen, my Main Street electrical parade is wiping out the inhabitants of your fair city. Those that survived the initial EMP attack, that is. What do you mean to do with us? With you? Nothing. I figured this is as good a place as any to wait for your unconditional surrender. After all, in just 20 short minutes, I have wiped out half the population of Washington, D.C., and now hold the heads of the entire defense infrastructure hostage. With, mind you, a device that could kill everyone within a mile-wide radius instantly. Hull walks over to his seat. Is this seat taken? Where's Colonel Austin? Oscar asks. He's dead by now. I don't know about you, but all this mayhem and death takes a bit out of me. Good thing we're almost done here. Enjoy the beginning of the end of your species, Margaret. Steve is flying around the city looking for an opening to attack. He sees Hull's army in formation. That's it, Steve says. Stay in formation for me. Steve gets the engines of the plane roaring down towards the army. Hull looks at the monitor. What the hell is this? Steve crashes the plane into Hull's army, decimating hundreds of them. Austin, Hull says. Enjoy the beginning of the end of your species, Hull, Oscar Goldman says. Extinction is imminent. Hull, Margaret, and Oscar looks at Steve Austin as he exits the plane. Next issue, the final battle, the final confrontation with Hull and his army. Steve will fight for the survival of the human race in issue 10 of the Bionic Man.